Welcome to another episode of the GSIC Powered by Microsoft podcast. For those that don't know me, my name is José Ardila and I'm the Americas Lead for the GSIC. And today I have the pleasure of being here with André Antonelli from Machina Sports. We're going to be exploring the future of sports AI, agentic experiences, and fan engagement. The theme for today is going to be how AI agents are transforming the sports industry. And yeah, we're really honored to have you here, André. Tell us more about Machina and a little bit more about the history behind.
Thank you so much, Jose. Yeah, so Machina Sports, we are the execution environment that turns sports data, models, workflows into production applications and agents and media experiences for sports in general. So we are calling it the operating system for sports AI that we help, sports organizations across broadcasting, sports betting, teams and leagues to build and deploy these agents much faster, already fully integrated with the stacks that they already use, right? So that's kind of the pitch here. So we help organizations build this much faster and they don't need to maintain any infrastructure themselves.
Amazing. And Andre, I've noticed that you have built a career at the intersection of technology innovation, entrepreneurship, AI. Wondering what inspired you to launch Machina, and why do you guys believe that the sports ecosystem is ready for the next era of AI-driven transformation?
Sports is one of the hardest environments for AI, right? If you think about the different contexts that you have in sports, it changes every second. So if you're talking about the live data, the stats, the raw statistics, but also if you think about the news, the rumors, transfer windows, and all of this information that is not really like a stats from the game, but you have also the CRM information. So if you want to personalize an experience for a fan one-to-one, so this context, all of the different data sources is hard to keep, in a single language, in a single ontology for a large language model to understand and hallucinate less than it would without that. So I think we started looking at this initially as a B2C problem. The first version of our project was a B2C app for any fan can ask about a specific game and get stats and odds. But once we started building all of this data pipeline, this context engineering for sports, that's when we realized that any organization that wants to build experiences in sports, they need to build and maintain this infrastructure, right? So, and if you know AI, right, every week there's a new change. There's a new model, there's a new technique. We talked about MCPs, skills, uh, yeah, different stuff that is being built right now, right? So you need to have a partner in the space that helps you build faster and you become pretty much your innovation launch pad for AI, right? So you don't need to keep rebuilding the same stuff all the time. You actually have building blocks to start building on top. And that was the thesis of our company, right? We pivoted from B2C to B2B because we saw that the same problems are appearing in every organization that wants to build AI for sports.
Awesome. And Andrea, there's something I'm always curious about, and that is, the return on the investment part. I have seen a few sport properties already doing some investment into AI, but I'm also like wondering, are they getting a return on the investment? And that's leading me to the next question. Where are you seeing like the highest ROI from an AI investment perspective across leagues, teams, media, companies, and also like a sports book? Can you tell us more about like the return on the investment and the financial part of it?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a pure cost savings perspective for some specific use cases, right? If you think about content generation, I think that's the easiest one that you can think. So, if you have a sports book that writes articles like for SEO, for example, for blogs purposes, and if they just leverage a human editor, the cost to write each individual article, so a match preview for Barcelona versus Real Madrid, right? So how the both teams are arriving in the competition, players to watch from both sides, what are the head-to-head analytics from last few games. So this analysis takes a person to go there and understand the data and write this article. So it costs 100 to $300 one article, right? If you think about costs before AI, right? Now with
Mhm.
AI, you have agents. We have built this for multiple customers that does this deep research for you comes back with all the interesting facts, all the interesting information, actually is grounded on the live statistics and grounded also on the sports books odds. So it can create a much more contextual and more relevant article, right? And this cost is already much cheaper, is 100 times cheaper than a human would be. But we don't look at just like that because, yeah, if it's just cost savings, it becomes like it's not the right tool. We are looking at this is actually what it can enable that is new that a human could never do, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's something where it's interesting to see like personalization. So then you have not only generating one article for one to many for multiple people, but one to one. So you, again, back to the sports book vertical, which is one of the most interesting ones. You can generate articles for a newsletter, a personalized newsletter. So that is aware of what you like to bet, Jose. What are the previous events that you either won or lost, or upcoming events that also you could be interested in, and writing their article to you. And that's something that you can't have a team of humans doing this for each individual users that you have. And writing articles is even easier, but you can make much more interesting stuff like generating podcasts. So sometimes you don't even want to open an email, you can just listen to a podcast. You can generate videos as well. So our platform is multimodal. So you can generate videos that are one-to-one or even one-to-many for social media, but these are stuff that AI can't do. So the ROI is becomes instead of cost savings, instead, okay, what is net new, right? What can you with AI can bring more in terms of conversions, especially for a sports book. So going back to another example that AI can enable is chat layers on top of your data. So you can have like a chat agent that is integrated with your odds, your stats, your fan data, and then you can use an agent that you can answer questions and help users find odds and find markets and bet much faster, create parlays as well conversationally and bet faster. So that's when the ROI is becoming new. You know, this is a new channel, a new conversion for you for the sports books. And I think that's one of the most interesting aspects of this. AI can enable one-to-one conversations that is aware of you, aware of your past history, and that ends up, you know, converting much more for the end user.
That's amazing, Andre. And there's something you're touching that I really connected with, and that is the fact that AI or and the use of agentic AI for sports organization is not only there for saving, but to really enhance the operation of you mentioned some interesting examples on sports books and also content creation. I'm curious about, Andre, how you are also seeing these trends happening in broadcasting, streaming services. How are these services really leveraging from AI that maybe fans have not realized yet?
Yeah, absolutely. On broadcasting side, we have done some work with the Zone on the generation of gamification. So based on the live game, what's happening on the field, we can generate automated quizzes, polls, mini games like play bench sell games, all of these mini interactions that you can have on a second screen, fully now enabled by AI because you have the agents with similar stack that I mentioned, right? That does the deep research, collects the stories, build what is the interesting facts about this game or doing live or pre-game, and generate these outputs for fans, right? So on the broadcasting side, this is something that we've been working quite a lot. What is the AI broadcast? Like, what is the team that you have, that team of agents, I would say, right, that can support you on the broadcasting? And there is multiple angles, right? The researcher, so the agent that does all the analysis on deep statistics and try to find stories. There is the agent that is the producer that generates the content, the quizzes, the gamification that you can put up on the screen faster. And there is also the agents that are becoming the designers, right? Because these models, the image models are becoming so good that you can actually generate some graphics to be displayed on the screen and also videos, right? The videos models are getting better and better. So we are seeing a trend and we are starting to build as well with some partners, video generation for what if outcomes. So you could have an experience where fans can vote like, oh, what if the guy shoot on the left instead of the right, right? For a penalty, for example. And videos are getting so good that they can actually simulate that and then quite well, and it become a new asset for you to explore, like a new game that you can make with fans that they can vote on specific outcomes, and then you have a model generate that video and see what will have happened. So that's on the multimodal output side, so what you can generate with these agents. But also on the input side, we've been working as well with NVIDIA and some other partners to understand how can we have models that understand the game itself. And there are already a lot of models that does parts of this, but our angle is more focused on the broadcasting. So having models that understand audio, video, and language, what's happening on the broadcast, and using that as input to these experiences that I mentioned, right? So yeah, broadcasting is definitely one of the biggest verticals for sports AI, and we are working quite a lot on this vertical.
Interesting. And Andre, I want to take a moment here to just highlight what you said in terms of assets and the opportunity of having like new asset creation. And I want to go back 1 year from now and go back to that FIFA Club World Cup experience that you were describing with the Sun. How or what were some revenue opportunities that came and emerged for specifically the teams that were participating in that event with the use case that you were describing around the Sun and the different streaming opportunities and how they leverage at the time the AI that was provided by Machina. Can you expand on the revenue opportunities there?
Yeah, we were just providing the content side. So this other aspect of the revenue generation is more directly with them. But what I can mention is that these type of experiences can enable for you to have a backlog of sponsorship assets, right? So then you can have, okay, if I'm going to create an experience for a specific game and I have a sponsor that is my partner, I can do this more relevant to the brand, right? So brought to you by Coca-Cola, brought to you by Visa, and how you make these outputs being already integrated with the brand language, the brand assets as well. We can, of course, bring the brand guidelines from sponsors and use that to generate these outputs. So that's where this can brings us, right? So how you can make this contextual content available and integrated with the brand that is brought to you by. So it becomes a way to have a sponsorship package that you can pretty much be for you, the brand that is selling this, much lower cost than having manually to build themselves, right? And then you have much more contextuals to the brand for the language, for the visuals, and in marketing campaigns, right?
And I think all of this is going to be enhancing, the fan experience and it's creating new assets for fan engagement, which has become more important. So, what are some emerging like AI capabilities that will have like the biggest impact on sports over the course of the next 3 to 5 years? Can you give us like some insight on that based on what you know?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the usage of more agents, throughout the full experience for the fan itself. So how you buy tickets, how you get aware of what's going to happen on the game, be engaged with the stories before the game starts and after the game, how you bet in the game as well with the agents supporting you that. So I think agents are just going to be more and more applicable in multiple verticals in the sports. One thing that I want to also mention that links up with our product. So we have, and this is a trend going on in AI in general, not only sports, but we are building that for sports, which is this factories, right? The agent content, not content factories, but app factories. So what we have at Machina, we have our Machina factory, which is brands that are our customers. As they have integrations with the data provider. So let's say Stats Perform or Sport Radar, they bring their integrations, they bring their context that we built with together, and you have a factory that can start building these experiences much faster. So mini apps for the fans or fantasy games that are fully integrated with my odds or one-to-one fan experiences. So you have your own web app for you, Jose, based on your past interactions with the brand, right? So these factories of apps and experiences, now it's available in sports through our SDK that's fully integrated with the factory. So now all of these building blocks that we've been building the last 2 years, now we're exposing as an agent that anybody can talk to and say, give me a fan experience for Jose, that these are here's information, and you have a web app fully integrated in your stack. So I think this is what's coming in the future. It's like, experiences and fan experiences that are built one-to-one and at scale, right? You can have multiple websites for each individual of your fans. Or this is, I think, that the software is becoming a commodity, right? Is mainly on the context, right? So what context I have about this fan, about this game and this sports book per se, and then you can build these experiences around that. But the shell, the UI and the app experiences is becoming commoditized, and partially because we have these factories that we have for sports, but other customers are building as well in general. So I think that's a big trend. Like everybody's gonna have their own apps. Everybody gonna have their own experiences. That's kind of the direction we are seeing.
I like what you're saying about the Machina factory and what you were just describing about the power, which is limitless when you're using agentic. But and I saw, 10 years ago how transformation happened from for sport properties, that from the digital transformation side of things to nowadays the challenge being like operating and adopting AI. But if you were advising like a league or a club or a broadcaster or even a sports book that is beginning in the journey of AI adoption, what would that first recommendation be?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, start. That's the first recommendation. You don't wait, of course, but also don't try to build everything. Focus on one workflow that that happens every day, that you have a clear owner, that you can measure as well, outputs, and focus on that first, because it will take a lot of time to do the data preparation. As I said, especially if you're going to leverage live data, odds, and all of this sport specific context, it's going to take a while to clean up the data. But once you have this first workflow mapped, then you start building the data foundation that will serve you. What are the inputs that I need for this agent to do this output for me, right? Do they need live data, or they just need odds, or so that's kind of what is going to tell you what data you need. But that's the idea. Start small, one use case that you can see value by automating, and yeah, ideally leverage a platform like ours that can help you go much further and faster. So then you don't need to maintain any infrastructure, because a lot of these organizations, of course, you have an IT organization that needs to be aware what's being implemented and secure, and making sure you don't leak any information. That's fair. But once you have that validated, like a platform like Machina, that's when you can start building more and outputting more, and the scale go much further. So yeah, I would say start with one workflow with a clear owner and one measure output. And from that, you're going to have the first foundations to build more, and new ideas are going to come out.
I think that's a really interesting strategy that you're proposing, Andre. And I was wondering what's coming in the future of Machina. What are the future plans from now till the end of the year?
Yeah, we're gonna be now as an event. We're gonna be in this event in Amsterdam, IBC, for broadcasting vertical. We're gonna showcase there a new tool that we have been working for the broadcasting area. So that's one angle. And besides that, the whole part of computer vision perspective that I mentioned. So we have started a new work group internally, collaborating with external partners such as NVIDIA, to build what is the audio video language model for sports, right? So that's kind of the direction we're going for, because it all ties together with this whole experience, right? So you need to have understanding of what's happening on the field to then build better experiences for fans and batters. So yeah, these are the two focus of us right now: the broadcasting event in September, and as well as fine-tuning audio video language model for sports.
Interesting. And Andre, how can people connect with you and learn more about Machina?
Yes, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, André Antonelli, or my email, andre@machina.gg. And yeah, follow us on LinkedIn as well. We're always trying to post interesting stuff there. But yeah, I'm always available for an interesting talk.
Amazing. Andre, we're closing now. It was a real pleasure having you here. Would you like to say something before we wrap the session?
Thank you so much, Joseph, for the support, and the whole GSIC team. We've been part of the program for already 2 years, and yeah, we like a lot working with you guys. So I am excited to join you in an upcoming event.
Thanks, Andre. I'm very looking much forward for the possibility of meeting again. And yeah, a real honor having you today. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care.